Hi there, my name is Judith, and I'm a teacher that recently transitioned from teaching to instructional design, and I wanted to share some of the tips and tricks I followed and learned along the way. So, a little bit of background about me. I have been teaching for about 5 years before I decided that, hey, I wanted to switch careers. And once I did, and I realized, okay, this is it, I think I want to give it a go. I started just, browsing all over the internet to find, different kinds of resources. And one resource that was very helpful was the Career Transition Guide by Daphne Gomez. This is a website right here. So you can see there's a quiz that she made, which was really cool. You kind of just like answer different questions and see like, oh, I'm a newbie, I'm experienced. And basically through those quizzes, it kind of gives you some recommended careers for you based on what you like to do, what you have experience with and all that. And she also has a course that is available. I know that a lot of teachers have taken it. But another helpful thing which this was the one that I bought, was this career transition guide for teachers. And what was very helpful with this was after taking that quiz, I read through this whole document. I think it's not like a huge, book or anything, but it's just like 15 to 20 pages. And it has a lot of information about like different kinds of careers that are helpful and useful for teachers and specific to teachers. There was also recommendations on like how to revamp your resume, I believe. But this guide, I would believe like it's a very good starting point for trying to figure out what you want to do. So once I've started going through the whole guide, that's when I've decided, okay, I want to do instructional design. And personally, why I chose instructional design was I realized through the pandemic that I enjoyed making e-learning. I had so much fun converting all these in-person learning materials that I had into something that was interactive and, using blended learning. I enjoyed seeing my students interact with different resources online. And I was like, okay, I think I enjoyed this aspect of teaching more, where I'm able to develop different curriculums. And once I saw that instructional design was essentially the same thing but for adults, and trying to break down complex information into easy to learn training materials, I was like, okay, I think this is what I want to do, because I still was very passionate about learning, but just in a different way that was more helpful for my lifestyle at this point. And so I realized this was going to be a very hard journey. That's going to be a lot of time that I need. And I decided I wanted to delegate every night and also the weekends to transitioning. Now, I know this is hard because we all have different backgrounds. Some of you may be parents, some of you work multiple jobs, not just teaching. So this is something that, you're going to have to figure out based on your current schedule and see what works best for you. But trying to block some time in your calendar somewhere to be able to give yourself quiet time to work on whatever you need goes a long way. And like I said, again, I was lucky where I was in a place where I don't have a child. I wasn't working multiple jobs. I had that privilege to be able to just use my downtime to focus. Try to find what works best for you based on your current scenario and your current, things that you have going on. Maybe asking, a family friend or family to, take care or babysit your child while you work on it at night, or asking your partner, your spouse to just, take care of the kids while you have some time to work on things can, help. And also what I found was helpful was telling everyone in my circle of friends and, also my family that I'm doing this. And that also allowed them to realize that I needed the time and was not going to be able to meet them as often as we do for, whatever lunch dates and stuff like that. So communicating what you really need at the moment can really help. And don't be afraid to ask for help. So that all really happened in the month of November. And once I've decided that instructional design was going to be my next career, I started looking into specific resources that can help me become an instructional designer. And one of the first resources that I came across was Devlin Peck, and I'm going to tell you this guy is amazing. I'm going to show you his website and also his YouTube channel. He just has like a ton of resources for anyone that is interested in instructional design. I do know that he has a paid course, but what I also like about him is that he also provides a lot of free resources for people who can't afford the course and still want to learn about instructional design. So I definitely recommend checking him out. A lot of his videos are really great. He has some very lengthy videos that go into very in-depth specific tasks that you can take on how to complete your transition. But yeah, so definitely look into, a lot of the different resources that he has. He also has a checklist, which you can find on his website as you go to the bottom. So if you just sign up for his newsletter, you'll get the checklist for free. And it was a very nice, simplified checklist on specific steps that you can take to become an instructional designer. And then from his checklist, I was able to create an action plan for myself. The first part of my action plan was basically just developing my technical skills, and I wanted to prove that I can be able to make a variety of e-learning courses. The most common and most popular software tool is Articulate Storyline. That was the one that I enjoyed using, but there are also many other softwares on the market, for example, Adobe Captivate. So basically just research around and find what authoring tool works the best for you. I personally like Articulate Storyline and will be using it as the example in this video. So in order to show my e-learning courses, I also had to make a portfolio, and I'll go into more details about how I did that. But by basically learning Articulate Storyline and also creating the portfolio, I was able to have a place to show people that as a teacher, I'm still able to make e-learning courses and also other training materials as needed. And just to show off my work, and that always looks good for any employer to look at. Another very important aspect of instructional design are the learning theories that come with it. A lot of times people tend to focus like, oh, I need to learn Articulate Storyline, I need to make a portfolio, and that's it. And then they're like, why, am I not getting any job offers, or why are, employers not hiring me? So the reason being is because oftentimes they've neglected to really take their time to learn about these different learning theories, and these are usually the stuff that will come up in the interview, and they will ask you, for example, oh, walk me through your ADDIE process, what do you do? So also, again, I'm going to talk a little bit about those learning theories. After I've established my technical skills through the portfolio and also started learning the learning theories, I started looking into how to revamp my resume and also started doing practice interviews. So then December was basically kind of establishing what are my next steps and what I can do until the end of the school year. Other thing that I did that could be helpful was I reached out to other instructional designers that are in the area. I found most of them through LinkedIn and basically asked them what did they do to get into instructional design if they were in a previous career. And so happened I came across an ID who used to be a teacher in the same county that I was working in. So I reached out to her and she gave me some helpful resources. She was really cool and super sweet and definitely willing to help in any shape or form. So to do this, just type instructional designer, put in your location, and make sure you filter people. Reach out to them for tips and pointers on how to transition into the field. And you never know, you might come across someone who used to be a teacher like you. So once I had my action plan, I started working on it. So you can see the first on the list was learning Articulate Storyline. And to do that, I actually completed 2 Articulate Storyline courses on LinkedIn. Here's the first course. This is Articulate Storyline Essential Training. Highly recommend it. I went through the whole thing, I think, maybe in like a week. I'm not really sure, but yeah, I think it was a week. And then this was the second course, which was Advanced Learning. Now, LinkedIn Learning, you have to pay for the premium, but once you complete those 2 courses, you can cancel it if you need to. But yeah, definitely 2 very helpful courses. So what I did was actually signed up for a 30-day articulate storyline trial. Now, this is really important. Make sure you complete the 2 courses first. Take as many notes as you can, and then only start the 30-day trial. The reason why is because you only have 30 days to create the courses that you need for your portfolio. So if you're going to be doing those courses and using up your 30-day trial at the same time, you won't have enough time. You got to trust me on that. Making the courses take a long time, and you want to use that whole 30 days to focus on your courses. So basically what you want to do is first complete the 2 courses, make sure you take as many notes as you need, and then start your 30-day trial and then work on your courses. So that's the step that helped me, and I was able to finish 2 articulate storyline courses and 1 RISE course, all within 30 days. So I mentioned articulate storyline course and RISE course, and I wanted to show you the difference between the 2 of them. So this is an example of a storyline course. It basically has nice interactives and graphics for you to click on, and you can basically walk through the course. You can also add audio. There's many things that you can do with it, but it's basically a kind of like interactive course that you can complete. Now, the next one is a RISE course. And again, this also falls under the company Articulate. And this is more kind of like a walkthrough course. So it's not as like, as many clicking and audio, but you basically can use this for like documents. And you can see it's also kind of interactive, but it's mostly reading that is more divided into different chunks, which can be helpful if you have something that's very lengthy that you need to break up into more bite-sized pieces. As you can see, you can click continue. You can also make different sections. This is a RISE course I made on time management. So these are just basic ideas of the kind of stuff that you would want to make with Articulate Storyline during your 30-day trial. So I made 2 types of storyline courses and 1 RISE course in 30 days. I know that sounds like a lot, but if you could like really dedicate the time and again ask for help wherever needed during those 30 days, you can actually knock it out and save yourself a lot of money. And that was that in terms of articulate storyline, which goes to your possible next question, which is how do I upload my courses on my portfolio? So that is a very good question, and that was the same question I had when I was a newbie. So what I use is AWS. So that's Amazon Website Services, and it's pretty much free unless you have like a billion courses that you're showing on your website, but you have like 2-3 that you want to host. It's not bad at all. And to learn how to do that, I basically follow the steps from Davelin Peck. He made a video called How to Upload and Share Your E-Learning. I will make sure to link this below so that you have access to it. He does a great job of going through step by step how to do this. And it was not really hard to follow with. So yeah, this is basically the resource you want to use when you're ready to upload and share your course. So I'm going to show you my portfolio real quick so you can get an idea. FYI, I'm actually in the middle of revamping it, so the colors and the color scheme is just all over the place, so please ignore that. But basically, I had like an About Me page, a career goal, a tiny snippet on my education, and also some of the skills that I have, and some of the softwares that I know how to use. And then I also had a place for where I placed all my e-learning and also learning materials. So this is why a portfolio is very important. It's just a nice place to have all your like cool stuff that you've made to show off to the world that you're going to be a great instructional designer. And you might be wondering for your portfolio what to use. So based on the portfolio I just showed you, I used WordPress, but there are also many other resources that you can use. One very beginner-friendly website that I recommend is Weebly. It's basically like drag and drop sections that you can use to design your website and how you would like it to look. recommend that. But if you want to go into the nitty gritty, I recommend WordPress. There's a lot more features to it and a lot more flexibility if that's what you're looking for. And I'll definitely make a video one day on how I developed a WordPress website if you guys are interested in that. So yeah, basically make sure you have a About Me section that includes your background, skills, and experience. And finally, it's always helpful to have a domain. So instead of your website being www.ashley.weebly.com, which is very typical when you're using such websites and you're using it for free, you will have that, name at the end, which you don't want. I recommend buying a domain. It's really cheap. It's usually like $10 a year. And that just has your name on it. So it will be like www.ashley.com. And to host your domain, you also need website hosting. So I use Bluehost, highly recommend it. I'll also put a link below for you to check them out. And I pay about maybe, I'm trying to remember off the top of my head, I think around 10 to 15-ish, maybe a month. So yeah, there are additional costs for that. But if you really are trying to save some money, then obviously go for the, whatever the free version or any of the website apps like Weebly. All right. So let's go to the next part. Okay, so once I was done with my portfolio, come April, I was ready to dive into all the learning theories and also to start working on my resume. So the first thing I did was look up ADDIE. ADDIE is very important. So it stands for Analyze, Design, Develop, Implement, and Execute. So for every project that you work on as an instructional designer, you're going to be most probably using the ADDIE process. There are a lot of other methods that people use, but this is kind of like the general one. You also wanted to look into Kirkpatrick's model of evaluation and also Gagg's 9 events. Some of these might seem familiar to you guys who have an education degree. You might remember learning this somewhere in one of the classes. And I'll also make sure to give some links below for helpful resources on learning those theories. So the next thing, and also the most important thing, is your resume. Now, for your resume, you want to make sure that you have a very clean, to the point resume that you can use. I find that a lot of resumes that are lengthy, and also from my personal experience, when I started, I had a very lengthy resume and that didn't really get me anywhere in terms of job applications. But once I cleaned it up and made it more to the point, I found that I was getting more calls for interviews and also leads. And what you want to do when you're ready to make your resume is you want to first research existing job postings, and based on those existing job postings, you want to edit your resume. So next, I'm going to show you on Etsy some of the resume templates I found and the particular one that I used. So if you go to Etsy and just type resume templates, there's a ton that you can find. They're only usually like a couple bucks, but you can see what I mean here. These all look very clean, very professional, not cluttered, and then just easy to use and fill out. So basically check those out. This is the particular one that I bought. Oh wow, it's $6. I think it was cheaper when I bought it. Inflation. But yeah, this is the one that I bought. And that I really liked it. It really helped me and it was very helpful to just fill out. And now I'm going to show you some examples of job postings. So if you go to LinkedIn, type instructional designer, you'll see there's many that come up. So just look at a few of them and look at what they're looking for. So for example, this one is the senior. Okay, I'm going to go for a different one. Let's go for this one right here. Entry level. There we go. That we're looking for. Okay, so for this entry level role, they're looking for someone to assist with developing the overall design for training curriculum to meet identified training needs. Okay, think of that with teaching, with your students. You're basically making lesson plans, right? And when you also make lesson plans, you also make slides, you also make, hyperdocs. And those kind of things are stuff that you do to make sure that your students are able to learn effectively. That is the same thing that you're doing with adult learners. You're basically developing a design for training, but this time instead of students, K-12 students, you're doing it for employees of a company, for example. Conduct research and consult with faculty, staff, and business representatives in the design and development of new curriculum. Okay, think about all your meetings that you have after school and also with parents. And then once you had those meetings, you kind of have more ideas on how you want to develop your curriculum better. Maybe, a parent voiced out that their child is not learning effectively in a specific section of the course. And you're like, okay, what can I do to make this better? Let me go back and review my lesson plan. So as you can see, there's a lot of similarities between teaching and instructional design. But what you want to think of is as you read through these job responsibilities, how does this look like in the lens of teaching? And try to connect the dots of what you did that was similar to some of the responsibilities they mentioned. Once you've done that, you don't want to copy what they have word for word in here, but you want to take keywords from these job responsibilities and then mix it in with your teaching responsibilities that currently exist. This is the best way to develop your resume, and these are called transitional skills. You're basically taking the current skills that you have in teaching and applying it to new roles outside of teaching. So that was April in general and what I worked on. So let's move on to the next step. Okay, so May, June, July. What did I do? Apply. So something to keep in mind before I get into this. You might think, oh, okay, that makes sense. Like that's a good timeline, a couple months before teaching. But from what I've read from some Facebook teaching groups that I'm on, some people have been saying that it's better to start applying sooner now. And that's just because of the job market right now. It's just kind of more competitive. So this was what it was for me in 2022. But maybe now in 2023, when you're applying, I recommend to actually start sooner rather than later. And mainly because of like the number of applications and stuff like that. And also plus you don't want to feel like you're in a rush. So it is always a good idea, and especially 2023 onwards, to apply earlier in the process and just to know what you're working with. So to apply for jobs, I actually created a job tracker spreadsheet, which I'm going to show right now. So this is the spreadsheet. So you can see that I've applied for many jobs. But what I had was basically the number, the job position, the link to the position of the job, the company, date applied, resume tailored or not, I put yes or no, cover letter made or not, yes or no, and then also a status filter. And another helpful thing I had was also the location. So if, I had a local job, like where exactly locally it was, if it was a remote job or hybrid. And this was nice because I was able to go through and basically keep track of all the jobs I applied for and not feel like I was not doing anything. And it's nice to look back like, hey, this is the work I actually put in, and these are the number of job applications I've applied for. This is how hard I worked. So this tracker definitely helped me keep track of everything and highly recommend it. I will also link this below so that you can use it if you like. So this was really helpful for me to understand where I'm at. So now I'm going to go through some specific helpful tips that were beneficial to me in my applications. Apply locally. A lot of times it's easier to compete locally just because people prefer having someone local and also someone in the area. And do not just necessarily target remote jobs. You'll be surprised to find that there are some jobs that don't even market themselves as a remote job. They might put it as hybrid or they might not put anything at all. And you'll be surprised to know that, during the interview, they're like, oh, we're actually a remote company. But they never really marketed that in the first place. So don't just target remote jobs. Make sure to also consider jobs that are in person and also hybrid. You want to think of this job as not the dream job that you're going to have right after teaching, but instead the stepping stone that you need to a remote job if that's what you're looking for. So with the company that I ended up with, they were a local company and they advertised themselves as hybrid. At that time, I thought hybrid like twice a week. But then during the interview, I found out that they were actually 99% of the time remote and maybe meet once every 6 months in person, which was awesome because I was looking for a remote job. The third point I have is to attend also any job fairs in the area. Look up on Google and see what current events are happening. Most of the time, employers like to put a name to the face. So even if you did apply and knew that company was going to be in a specific event somewhere, being able to go up and be like, hi, I applied, I'm so and so, looks really great because they can actually see your face and interact with you in person. Number 4, always write a cover letter. All the jobs that I ended up getting a response were the ones I wrote a cover letter for. Now, you don't have to write anything super lengthy. Instead, you want to have something that's simple, that explains your background, what you're looking for, what about the job you like, and very important, try not to talk so much about yourself and what you're looking for. Talk about what you can give the company. Think of it from their perspective. They're looking for an employer who's going to be highly qualified in what they do. How can you prove it to them that you're very qualified and you both are a great match? So think of it from their lens and start writing away. Number 5, this is another tip that actually helped me with getting my job. Target new job postings. I didn't go for jobs that were 1 to 2 weeks on LinkedIn. I went for jobs that were posted in the last 1 day or even a couple hours. For example, the job that I ended up with, I believe it was maybe like 2 hours in, I saw the listing, and it was a very new listing, like 2-hour listing, and I quickly applied and wrote a resume. And I really feel like that was the reason I got hired, because I immediately got contacted by someone within, I think, a day or two of that. So try to target new jobs postings as if possible. And something that I've not added on this slide, I use LinkedIn, but don't be afraid to use other job websites too, like Indeed. But for me, LinkedIn was what worked the best. It was nice to be able to apply for a job and then see who works there and reach out and network with different people. So I kind of like the social media aspect of LinkedIn and being able to find specific people that work in the company. And brings us to August. So this was when I got my job offer. So after 80 applications, I received a job with a local company. It was advertised by hybrid, but it was 99% of the time remote, which was great. And I'm very, very happy where I'm at. So yeah, make sure you take those tips, apply locally. Don't just go for remote, and definitely you'll find something. If you found this video helpful, please make sure to like and subscribe. As you know, I'm a relatively new channel, and every subscriber that I can get is a boost of encouragement for me to continue posting videos. Thank you so much.